Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to your Rangers Review press conference reaction video. We've heard from both Philippe Clement and new signing Robin Proper ahead of the game against Motherwell at Hampden tomorrow, and we're going to discuss some of the big talking points from those. To join me on the video is Joshua Barry, live from Rangers Review HQ. How's it going, Joshua?
Yeah, always a pleasure. I thought I'd left live in Lublin in my little name ticker there, but yeah, no, good to be here. Looking forward to I would say going back to Ibrox tomorrow, but that's obviously not the case for Rangers, is it? But you know, a rare press conference today, Derek, in which Clement had no injury news to give the press, so maybe a sign of brighter days ahead for Rangers.
Yeah, let's hope that is indeed the case. But let's get to it. He had a number of things to say. We'll start off with the manager, of course. He was asked, how's the squad looking for tomorrow and how close are the new faces to the starting the game? He says that there are no problems after the Kiev game, so nobody came back with knocks or injuries, so that's a positive thing. It's important to integrate new players and give them minutes. It's also important that we have a game on Tuesday again. It's looking at which players we want to start. There are players who are ready for 90 minutes, and then Tuesday again. It's making a balance between making those decisions. And he was quizzed on a number of players. Well, Václav Cerny, first of all, he was asked, how difficult is it to do that when someone like Václav makes a contribution, the fans get excited and want to see him in the team? Clement went on to say, of course, I'm not a fan. I'm a fan in a way, but those are always the things, and that's for every manager. That's why we always hear things like it's not possible that you take this one off, or it's not possible that this one doesn't start. It's because people don't know all the details, and that's normal. That's why they're fans. I need to get results and let players grow and make them better. Václav, like I said, I think he has 6 trainings now. It was before 4 weeks in holiday. For him, it's like pre-season. People cannot expect him to play 90 minutes for the moment, although he would love to. He said he needed, after every action, some time to recover. He was a little bit frustrated about that because he wants to be important for the club and to play more minutes, but he also felt that it was not possible, so we need to take into account those things. So that's what he said on Cerny. Joshua, we're going to produce our predicted teams for tomorrow. Teaser, I don't have Cerny in my starting 11, but I think the manager sort of summed up that he's a wee bit way away in terms of fitness at this moment in time. It's all about sort of trying to get minutes into his legs so he's able to feature more prominently.
Yeah, I think it was Stevie the other day in the morning podcast made a good point that Clement looked at that game overall, and probably in what he got right in Kiev, playing against Kiev, it was the team that started maybe wasn't the strongest. And we're going to come on to speak about Jefte, but I thought he made a slightly slight-handed comment, maybe criticism of the attackers in the first half in relation to the Jefte substitution. But that left Clement with the opportunity to make strong substitutions from the bench when maybe the game had slowed down. The first half could be more about the running off the ball and the work the Rangers had to do, even if they went in behind at the break. Listen, it's a difficult situation because he's come in after 4 weeks of holiday, and we've opened the show speaking about the injury situation, haven't we? You can't simultaneously solve an injury situation and put a player in straight away. Equally, you can understand if you're looking at that team lineup the other day away in Lublin, it is not one that really inspires confidence, even if in the end the team got a result. Not one that inspires confidence in the midst of this big summer rebuild. I don't expect him to start tomorrow. I think he did look rusty and he gave the ball away a lot. But again, as we spoke about after the game, Derek, when he was in that situation, that natural area for him on the right wing, able to provide that moment of quality, that is what you've got to harness until he is up to full fitness. And I guess Clement then has to look at, okay, where is that going to be most useful in this game? So away on Tuesday night, the first 60 minutes, there's probably going to be a lot of running. It's likely when the game slows down that you think that gives Cerny the best opportunity to make an impact, as so materialised towards the end of the 90 minutes. Don't expect him to start tomorrow. I thought Ross McCausland actually had a pretty good, certainly first 45 minutes, obviously a couple of inches away from scoring an outstanding individual goal on his left foot. And I think like you expect him to start on that right wing tomorrow. Until Cerny is fully fit, it's about trying to use what's clear with that quality that we've seen with that assist, trying to use that and harness that to the best of Rangers' ability, because while there was a real positive spin, I think, on Tuesday, and it was a good result for Rangers to get, you're still looking at this squad heading into 3 more games, and 2 big games in particular on Saturday and Tuesday. And I think there's still quite a lot of ducking and diving for Clement to do because of his lack of options, in particular in the midfield.
Yep. I would love 4 weeks holiday, incidentally. That Vaslav Cerny has just came off the back of. I think that's a rarity. That's fair to say. But good to have him in the Rangers jersey. And like you say, Joshua, we've missed a get out in that right-hand side who can whip in balls like that. So let's hope it's the first of many from him. Now, the manager was also asking about another player who impressed the other night. He came on as a half-time substitute, and that is Jefte, of course. This is what he had to say.
Expected. So he's a very talented player. That's why we made a big fight during 6 months to get him here. But from January on, we kept a lot of contact with him, and he was really convinced to come to Rangers, although a lot of teams were interested in him. Although his team where he was playing wanted to keep him, and a lot of other clubs wanted to sign him, but he was really convinced about the project here with him, and he's a very talented player for the future, who for sure needs to learn still a lot of things, but it's normally he's only 20 and he had 1 year experience in Europe, but he has the right mentality to fight and to be there for the team, and he has a lot of physical and technical qualities also.
So that is the manager on Jefte, Joshua. I'm hoping to see him tomorrow start the game. I think he deserves to start. I would like to see him and Ridvan strike up a bit of a partnership down that left-hand side. It's a strange one because we've seen him as a left-back during pre-season, but he can play left-wing. He played left-wing at points for Apoel last season over in Cyprus, and some of the balls he was whipping in midweek were pretty good as well. I guess, were you in agreement? Would you like to see him start on the left?
Yeah, we're not building up much anticipation for our teams here, are we? But I agree with you. I mean, when we had a piece on Jefte on the website, which I believe was maybe towards the end of May, that was the one key factor that I think that piece kept coming back to: how he carries the ball, how fast he is, but how natural it is for him as a ball carrier. He doesn't move really like a fullback. The offensive aspects of his game are certainly the strongest, but I don't think I'd fully appreciated how good, and it's only one game, 145 minutes we've seen so far, but he put in 2 or 3 really good deliveries. The one where Dessers saw his header, which looked like it was bound for the back and the net saved, also came off the back of a Jefte driving run. He was positive. He's new, and when you're new, especially when you look at the first half on that team that Clement put out, that gives you an immediate bonus. But he was brave on the ball, and he looked like a natural fit on the left midfield, didn't he? If you look at Jefte stylistically, we again spoke about this after the game on Wednesday. Clement hasn't had natural players for his system, round pegs and round holes much at all since he came to Ibrox. He's been playing forwards on the wing, he's been playing fullbacks on the wing, but we know that he wants wingers, we know that he wants to use this system, and we know that he wants ball carriers. And to really simplify the point, Derek, I think Clement wants players who, and we see this off the ball, don't we, because he uses this man-for-man system. Clement wants players who will dominate their zone. He wants players who are comfortable in big spaces. If you compare that to Michael Beale's football this time last year, which was much more about overloading areas and players playing very narrow on and off the ball and trying to create, I guess, superiority in a different way. Clement doesn't want his football to look like that. It should be fast, it should be vertical, and it should have players who are capable and comfortable of carrying the ball over big distances. I don't think it's any surprise that some of the players who have benefited the most really from Clement's move last year was someone like Dujon Sterling or Abdallah Sima, who again have that ability to really dominate their zone, carry the team forward in a significant way. Ridvan Yilmaz is the exact same. So Jefte feels like a natural fit for Clement's football of what we've seen so far. He is only 20, which I guess shows that it's going to take him time to get up to full speed. But there's also a positive to that, and that what type of player could he be in a couple of years' time. So looks like an exciting deal on the face of things. And I'm like you, I'd like to see him start at the weekend purely because he was positive on the ball, he was aggressive, and it looked like while we still expect him to play with and compete, Ridvan left back, looks like that could also be a partnership, particularly especially in big games where you need a little bit more defensive cover, but you can rely on Jefte to get you up the pitch.
Yeah, I do love a left-footed Brazilian, I've got to say, if he can harbour the skills of players of yesteryear, a la the likes of Roberto Carlos and Rivaldo, then Rangers are on to a winner. But yeah, those guys were absolutely phenomenal players. And yeah, hopefully Jefte starts tomorrow. He was quizzed on potential departures. Now, this is the first I heard of this, and the manager said likewise, Joshua, on Yanis Hagi. He was asked that there's a suggestion that Rangers would be willing to let him leave without a fee to rip up what's left of his contract. So this is what the manager, his response was to that question.
What profiles we need, and there are other people. That's a rumor, not a rumor that I hear until now. So, but I'm not busy all this time with for what amount of money is a player going out or coming in or all those things. That's not my job to do. It was my job to see what's necessary for the squad, what profiles we need, and there are other people financially making decisions. So it's about that. It's not me making that kind of decisions.
So that's what the manager had to say on the Hagi, Joshua. I certainly wouldn't hope that Rangers were planning on ripping up his contract and just paying him off. I think he's got a valuation on his head, and I'd like to think that they can bring in a bit of cash for him.
Yeah, I think this is applicable to Todd Cantwell also. Yeah. One of the key points of the I guess isn't as much of the focus of a summer rebuild as the fact that Rangers have needed to restructure their wage structure because it's effectively ran out of control a bit, and that comes into things like Champions League qualification a few seasons ago, maybe not selling players at certain junctures on their contract, the number of players as we've seen over the last couple of seasons running out their deal and then Rangers not being able to get any money back on the wages that they have spent. And Todd Cantwell and Yanis Hagi are some of the higher earners at Ibrox because of the role that they have fulfilled in different squads. Yanis Hagi signed a new deal, what was it, about 2 years ago, just under 2 years ago now, and that was obviously after his injuries. The club tried to support him back from that, but also to give him a bit of security longer term in the market. Now, a lot's changed since then. He's not seen as a player that is going to remain under Clement, and that, as we heard in the press conference a few days ago, was a decision that was taken by all parties. But Rangers need to restructure what they've done with their wages, and you've seen that with, for example, Jefte coming in place of Barisic, Barron coming in place of Lundstrom. Those players are younger, but they're also on less wages. I think, as Clement said, it's the first I'd heard of it as well. It is a rumour. A lot of rumours obviously circulate at this time of year, don't they? I don't expect Rangers to go and get a huge fee for Hagi because he's not played much football really in 2 to 3 years. But for whatever type of money they do get for his services, they're also getting a lot of wages off the books, which is, as we know, just as important for where they are and where their squad is at this juncture in the window, but also overall as they try to restructure it moving forward.
Yep, Steve will be an interesting point. Says Michael Beale effectively ended Hagi's Rangers career. We'll always wonder what could have been. Yeah, it will be sad to see him go. I've got to say, I think his injury was extremely unfortunate as well, and just wasn't able to recapture his early Rangers career form. Although I thought he performed reasonably well for Romania at the Euros. Yeah. So I don't think Rangers should just be cutting off their losses just to get them out of the building. I think that would be not the best move to go down. On Cantwell, of course, he was asked about it. Could he be close to leaving? There was a report we discussed in the morning briefing that Trabzonspor were said to be keen on acquiring him. They're turning into Rangers Mark II over there, but there is a second part of the press conference, folks, as well, an embargoed section which will be released at 7 p.m. And it expands the manager on Todd Cantwell. So keep your eyes peeled on the YouTube channel for that. But yeah, those two players we fully expect to head out the building. So that's what the manager had to say. He was also asked about Hampden. I posted this on our social media channels. He was asked how are you and the players feeling ahead of the unique situation of being at Hampden. He said, we're looking forward to it because we need to adapt. We know one thing, we will have 50,000 fans behind the team. That's a really important thing, that you have that amount of people. It could have been a stadium, for example, for 20,000 people, and that's different. We have the same amount that you have at Ibrox. I know the fans will be behind the team to push them. It's a little bit out of scenery, but in that way, I have the experience a few times already with half our fans at Hampden who made a very good atmosphere. So they will be doubled up. I expect more than double the atmosphere from the fans. So he's expecting a raucous atmosphere at Hampden tomorrow, Joshua. I think it pretty much will be. It'll be good to see a large majority of Rangers fans in there. The last time I've seen something like that, I think, was the Petrofac Cup final when Rangers defeated Peterhead, and I think that they had pretty much the whole of Hampden on that afternoon. But yeah, looking forward to it. I'd imagine that the fans will play their part tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to expect from it, because obviously normally the games that Clement references, it's a semi-final or a final. Tomorrow is a 3 o'clock kick-off at home. I think there'll be a bit of a novelty effect at the start. Maybe I think some people won't be best satisfied with their seats, because we know that's that the Hampden's not exactly known for its viewing capabilities, shall we say. But it's a big game for Rangers, because obviously they didn't win the opening game of the season, Derek. Obviously, that's a pretty obvious thing to point out. But I also think it's about trying to build momentum ahead of the Kyiv game. We can't underestimate how big financially that would be for Rangers if they're able to get into the Champions League playoff round, as they try to bring more players into the club before the end of the month. And they need to try, and for however long they are at Hampden, they need to try and make it feel, not only make it feel like home, but although it's cliche to say that home crowds in European competition play a big factor, it's not cliche to say that about Ibrox, because the evidence has been too strong. If Rangers can start to get into a bit of good form, if they can, I think if supporters start to see things to hold on to, they need to try and build a siege mentality in difficult circumstances, not being able to play at their home pitch, because it is going to be new, it is going to be different, and ultimately I think it depends. The atmosphere always responds to what happens on the pitch. On Tuesday night, Rangers were more intense on and off the ball. I think you saw a clear idea of what they were trying to do, and that needs to continue tomorrow against Motherwell for I think the atmosphere to be what it can be tomorrow at the National Stadium.
Yep. Robin Proper also speaking to the press earlier. You can read everything you had to say on the website, folks, and also watch that press conference in full over on our YouTube channel. Some interesting takeaways from him. He was asked, who did you speak to, and what did they tell you about the club, about moving to Rangers? He was asked about a number of Dutch players have played for Rangers. How aware of the impact they've made here are you? He said that also a few coaches. It was nice to see that a few big players play and make history. I talked to some of the players who already were here and played for Rangers. Cyril Dessers, I played with him at Heracles, I think that's how you pronounce it. Heracles, yeah. And sometimes against him. So I directly called him. Sam Lammers I talked to, of course, the coach I talked to a few times. I tried to do most of the research, and he was pushed on that. What did Sam Lammers tell you to expect? And then he said that the same as every club, what they want and what they want to achieve. But I think he told me how big the stadium is, how loud the fans are, and only good things about that. So Sam Lammers selling Rangers, Joshua, both players moving in opposite directions. He was also he was asked as well. I think there's a point. He's about being fit and ready to start. He says, yes, I did all my work at FC20 to prepare for the season. A few weeks, I think 5 or 6 weeks, and some friendly matches. So he's fully fit and ready to take part in the game tomorrow. Do you think he'll start?
Yes, I think he will, and I think he should. Leon Balogun was good over in Poland. I thought John Suter had some good moments and some bad moments, a few loose passes in the first half, and he is a centre half that I think has increasingly at Rangers. It feels like there's not been loads of 90-minute performances from. I think it's fair to say with Suter, you look at a lot of his game and it's really promising, but too often there's been a mistake recently for me. However, that's been a lot of football played on the left-hand side. So you think maybe with Proper, who is natural, he's a right footer, but he is natural on the left-hand side alongside Suter. Could that partnership work? Leon Balogun, you'd play him at the moment, but how many games can his body take at this age? Would certainly expect Proper to go in there tomorrow, Derek. And one area I think he touched upon this himself in his press conference, how he helps Rangers build play, build possession. That's something that's been a bit of criticism. It was a criticism last week at Tynecastle, how quickly and directly sometimes Rangers are going from back to front. That's one of Proper's big attributes, the way that not only is passing, but I think the key point and maybe the comparative difference to Connor Goldson is the way that he can invite pressure. And that's something that I think is important to notice as he becomes a regular, which he obviously is going to be in this Rangers first team. And I definitely expect him to start at Hampden tomorrow.
Yeah, right. So let's look at our predicted lineups. I've not seen yours, Joshua, so we'll fire yours up first. So here is how Joshua would like Rangers to set up tomorrow. He's got Butland, Tavernier, Suter, Proper, Ridvan. I've got the exact same. Sterling, Barron, Diamonde, McCausland, Jefte, and Dessers. I've got the exact same team as Zach, so
wow.
No point picking mine up. I've got a different sort of formation, but I know the manager's not going to deviate from playing that number 10. I would like just Barron sitting in front of that back four with Sterling and Diamonde pushed up a little bit. But I'd be surprised to see that, I've got to say. But Suter, I think, just based on what you just said there with Leon Balogun, I expect him to come back in for Tuesday night. He's an athlete, Leon, of course, and he's very robust, but I think John Suter should be able to take care of whatever Motherwell have at their disposal in an attacking sense. Sterling, I thought, did well when he came off the bench on Tuesday night. Excited to see him and Barron in that midfield. That's a very energy, workmanlike, and full of power midfield. Joshua, do you agree?
There's not much of an alternative. The reason I've gone for this midfield, predicted this team, is, and it's probably a little bit wishful thinking to expect Clement to maybe push Diamande further forward. And were it to be a normal Saturday with no midweek game, I probably wouldn't have predicted this. But Tom Lawrence, is he going to start 4 games in a row? Is he going to start 3 games in a row? Yeah. I'm just not sure, because he was on right until the very end, and he's Rangers' only real natural number 10 at the moment, because we've not seen Kieran Dowell play there that often. He's more played in the kind of central midfield department for Clement so far. Dujon Sterling, there's ongoing debate about where he should play. That ties into James Tavernier's future as well. You obviously would play him in more than one position if you could. I thought he gave you an immediate uplift in the centre of midfield when he came off the bench away against Kiev on Tuesday. Barron and Diamande, I think they've done a lot of work. Diamande, I know you and Stevie spoke about him earlier. He's a brilliant player. He's a lot of responsibility is put on him early in his Rangers career. There's simply not the numbers to rotate that much in the midfield for Rangers at the moment, so I'd expect there to only be one change if there is at all. And as we've already talked about, Jefte on the left, he deserves it, even if it's not a full 90 minutes. McCausland on the right, I don't think Cerny is quite there yet, and McCausland had a positive first half away in Lublin. And Dessers up top, he's been a big topic of discussion this week. I know Clement is also later in his press conference referenced Danilo and where he is in his journey back to full fitness. We need to see him at some point, but that's obviously clearly something that's being managed very deliberately, because he didn't come off the bench away at Hearts and he didn't come off the bench away against Kiev. So that is what I'm expecting Rangers to line up in, but as we know, both of us rarely get 11 out of 11 with these things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people agree, and JD says that's my team too, and Bill Story says I can't argue with that lineup. So, a lot of agreement with our lineups. Picked the exact same team. It will be interesting to see how Rangers, hopefully they can get a victory tomorrow. Motherwell said to be a tad depleted with injuries and what have you. So, let's hope Rangers can do the business. John Douglas got in touch earlier. He said, I don't know who gifted me the membership, but shout out. Yeah, it was either William or Bluebells Are Blue, who kindly dished out the memberships on the morning show earlier on. So those are the people you have to thank, John. But good to have you on board. Hopefully you enjoy the content that we are producing here. Right, that'll do us there. Big thanks to Joshua, as ever. Thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in and for your support to the channel. As I mentioned earlier on, you can read what the manager and Robin Proper had to say over on the website, and you can watch those press conferences in full over on the YouTube channel. The embargoed sections dropping at 7 p.m. this evening as well. Right, that'll do us there. Thank you again, and we'll speak to you later on. Bye for now.